When I was young, I used to think it was Audacity, not Audacity. Just thought that was interesting. The Nick Cage chapter is Among Us. And with it, a new survivor, 3 new perks, and a whole load of other changes. Let's dive in. First off, when a survivor disconnects, they'll now be replaced with a bot. You'll still receive a DC penalty and forfeit all blood points earned in the game, but the teammates you've abandoned won't be at quite so much of a disadvantage. Then again, if you are the kind of player that DCs at the slightest bit of threat, then you're probably not a very good player anyway. So yeah, I said what I said. This is ultimately where the bot work has been headed since it was introduced, and it's great to see this finally make its way into the game. This is a small one, but there are new character portraits for all survivors and killers. I feel like each time they update these, some of the personality from the original game is lost, and yeah, I feel the same way about these two. Brand new part has been totally reworked. Now, survivors who use it are faced with a difficult skill check. If completed successfully, the generator's required charges are reduced by 10. This brings the total repair requirement down to 80 charges or 80 seconds solo, which is what it was before they increased the repair time in patch 6.1.0 exactly 1 year ago. It doesn't appear that the toolbox is consumed anymore either, only the add-on. Wait, did it ever do that? Well, why did I put that in the script? I don't think it ever did that. This makes a lot more sense with the name of the add-on, but how it plays out in-game, we shall see. Cold Wind Farm has had a load of balance changes. No point diving into these due to the random nature of maps in DBD, but be aware that various loops you used to be able to rely on may have changed. The whole map should be a lot more balanced now. After testing, some new killer hit animations that were in the PTB have been reverted due to motion sickness complaints. Right, big list of perks have changed. The following killer perks have been updated. Coup de grace now gains 2 tokens when a generator is powered rather than 1. This means it can be used 10 times per match rather than 5 times per match. Claustrophobia no longer has a range restriction. All windows are now blocked whenever a generator is completed. Hangman's Trick is now Scourge Hook Hangman's Trick. It reveals the auras of survivors within 12 meters of any Scourge Hook when a survivor is being carried. In the patch, this will be 10 meters, but they've already made the code changes necessary to make it 12 meters in whatever the next update happens to be. Territorial Imperative's aura reveal duration is now 6 seconds rather than 3 seconds, and its distance from basement entrance requirement is now 24 meters rather than 32 meters. It also now has a 45-second cooldown. So you'll see the auras of any survivors entering the basement for 6 seconds when further than 24 meters from the basement's entrance. Does that make sense? Is it a good perk now? New meta? Territorial Imperative meta? Remember Me now increases the opening time of the exit gate by 6 seconds each time your obsession loses a health state, up to a maximum of 24 seconds, rather than 4 seconds per health state, up to a maximum of 16 seconds. Hex Crowd Control now blocks windows for 60 seconds whenever a survivor vaults it, rather than 14 seconds. That is one spicy buff. Trail of Torment now only deactivates, that is, removes undetectable, when the affected generator stops regressing, rather than when a health state is lost. Now on to survivor perk updates. Prove Thyself's repair speed bonus when working with other survivors on the same generator is now 10% rather than 15%, and it no longer gives any blood point bonuses. Blast Mine's traps now last for 120 seconds on a generator rather than 45 seconds. Wire tap duration also now lasts 120 seconds rather than 80 seconds, and now activates after 50% of generator repairs rather than 33%. Saboteur now takes 2.3 seconds to sabotage rather than 2.5 seconds, and its cooldown at tier 1 and 2 has been reduced from 90 and 75 seconds to 70 and 65 seconds. Tier 3 is still a 60-second cooldown. Clairvoyance now activates when blessing a totem rather than just when cleansing. Breakout now increases the wiggle speed of a nearby survivor by 25% rather than 20%, but now activates in a 5-meter range rather than a 6-meter range. Buckle Up now activates when you heal a survivor from the dying state, granting yourself and the healed survivor endurance for 10 seconds. This is a new effect and replaces the previous effect, which would give you haste. Smash Hit now applies exhaustion for 20 seconds rather than 40 seconds. And Spine Chill no longer has a terror radius visualization because you can just enable that by default from the accessibility menu. Not sure why they haven't replaced that with another effect, because on paper this is a nerf, even if it doesn't really make a difference, but there you go. There have been some killer tweaks. The Executioner's cages used to disappear and reappear when he came within 5 meters of a cage. This was done to prevent camping, but 5 meters isn't that big, so they've increased it to 10 meters. The Spirit has had some add-on changes. Mother-Daughter Ring now increases movement speed by 25% rather than 40%. Dried Cherry Blossom now gives killer instinct to survivors within 3 meters rather than 4 meters. I apologize for these pronunciations in advance, but Yukuyoki Amulet, Shiowasi Amulet, and Client Talisman no longer cause their ability to recharge faster. Origami Crane now increases recovery recovery rate of her ability by 20% rather than 10%. Rusty Flute also now increases recovery rate of her ability by 40% rather than 25%. Now changes to the Hag's add-ons. Waterlogged Shoe now gives the Hag a 7.5% movement speed boost rather than 4.5%. Mint Rag now has a 10-second cooldown for teleports rather than a 15-second cooldown. And Half Egg Shell and Cracked Turtle Egg now respectively increase Phantasm Trap duration by 45% rather than 30% and 55% rather than 35%. The Onryo has had pretty much a rework. First off, we have changes to Cursed Tape. Survivors who are hit when carrying a tape will now gain 2 stacks of Condemned and the tape will be destroyed. Being hooked while carrying a tape will also no longer inflict other survivors of Condemned, and holding a tape no longer passively builds Condemned. Projection also now has a cooldown of 10 seconds rather than 15 seconds, and TVs disabled by projection stay disabled for 45 seconds rather than 100 seconds. TVs disabled by survivors are now disabled for 70 seconds rather than 90 seconds. You can't be stunned while demanifested, and chases cannot trigger while demanifested. That also means that you can't build Bloodlust while demanifested. Some of our add-ons have also changed. Videotape Copy now causes TVs used for projection to turn on 10 seconds sooner. Cabin Sign now reduces TV turn on time after projection by 4.5 seconds rather than 12 seconds. And Wellstone now reduces TV turn on time after receiving a tape by 7 seconds rather than 6 seconds. So some fairly decent buffs and also a couple of nerfs there. I barely play Onryo and never really see her, so Onryo mains, if you exist, hit me up. Are these good changes? Right, so those are the changes out of the way. Now let's talk about Nick Cage himself. There are 3 new perks. I'm going to mispronounce this first one. Dramaturgy, one of those words. It activates while you're healthy. Pressing the active ability 2 button allows you to run with high knees for 0.5 seconds, then gain 25% haste for 2 seconds, followed by a random effect. Either 1, you become exposed for 12 seconds, 2, you keep 25% haste for a further 2 seconds, 3, you scream, or 4, you gain a random rare item in hand with random add-ons and drop any currently held item. The same effect cannot happen twice in a row. This is an exhaustion perk, so it applies exhaustion for 40 seconds and cannot be used while exhausted. Scene Partner activates when in the killer's terror radius. Looking at the killer causes you to scream and see the killer's aura for 5 seconds. There is then a chance that you will scream again, and if you do, you will see the aura for an additional 2 seconds. It has a 60-second cooldown. And finally, Plot Twist activates when injured. Pressing the active ability 2 button while crouched and motionless allows you to silently enter the dying state. You leave no pools of blood, make no noise, and can fully recover. When you recover by yourself, you're fully healed instantly and gain 50% haste for 5 seconds. The perk then deactivates but reactivates once the exit gates are powered. These are some of the most fun sounding perks in the entire game, and I cannot wait to hop in and give them a proper try. Just fun, just random stuff, just goofiness is great. Matches Nick Cage perfectly. They introduced us in the PTB, and I genuinely thought we'd see all of them changed or nerfed in some way, but that didn't happen, so this is brilliant. So there we are, the 7.1.0 Nick Cage chapter update. What's your favorite change from this patch? What do you think of the new perks and feature changes? It's one of the biggest I've seen in the last 6 months, and there's so much crazy stuff going on here, so let me know in the comments. As always, a big thank you to my patrons: Channel Manager, Chipstar878, Jinx Likes Magic, Lilith Alucard, Eric, Evan Craws, and Jel182. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.